Hey guys, Erica here with the B.L.F.F, Boys Love Fans Forever Club. So it has been a few days since the Heart Killer event. I've had time to decompress, really kind of collect everything and go over like what all happened and process it. So I wanted to just talk about it for a little bit. Now, first of all, thank you so much, GMMTV, for bringing these boys over and letting us be a part of this amazing event. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. The boys were beautiful. They were wonderful. And it was an amazing experience. Amazing. However, there were a lot of things that could be improved on as far as the situation went. I'm sure that if you've kept abreast of anything, you've noticed that there was a lot of people that were very upset, and rightfully so. There was a lot of hiccups that could have been avoided if proper planning might have been in place. Now, given this is only the second official event that Starstruck Media has put on, or should I say been a major part of, I was at the Tahoe and Off-Road event as well, which went pretty well. There wasn't too big of an issue, like hiccup-wise, with that event. However, there were some hiccups with that event, but they were dealt with pretty quickly and pretty easily. However, there was not as many people at that event as were at this event here. And I think that is kind of the problem. The sheer amount of people that came to this event was triple the amount of the original event that they did in New York. So, first things first, let me run you through a little bit of like what went down, what happened and everything. So we get there at 8:30, me and a few people that I was with, we got there at about 8:30 in the morning. Now, we knew where the event was. Obviously, like, it's a very famous place, the United Palace. It's beautiful, it's majestic, so hard to miss. However, I don't know what is up with Google Maps, but some people apparently were getting the wrong address. It was sending them 30 minutes across to another whole place, so that luckily we made sure to double check, triple check, quadruple check to make sure exactly where we're supposed to be. But if you just type in United Palace, it takes you to some totally different place. It's crazy, right? So we get there, and of course, it's 8:30 in the morning. We get it. Things aren't supposed to start until like 9:30, which is an hour away, but there was like nothing. There was no people outside getting ready. There was no like anything. There were the people who were like part of the actual United Palace. They were out there. They were putting like pylons up or whatever for the stuff, but there was no actual like event people there with, you know, clear indication that, hey, I am here for this event. I am a part of this event. I am a volunteer for this event or whatever. There was just a bunch of people standing off to the side, and we were like, okay, well, who are they? Are they standing in line? Are they waiting for this too? And then we were informed, oh, no, they're volunteers. They're just waiting for information, which I'm like, okay, understandable. It is still early. It's 8:30. It's fine. So we all start forming a line, and there's multiple people that come up, and there was this beautiful mural. Oh my God, there's this beautiful like video mural. Shout out to the girl that did that. It was freaking gorgeous. It was beautiful. Kudos to her. Definitely worth the watch. It was so pretty. And she was there, and she was like, yeah, I did this. This was me. I put this together. And, you know, it was amazing. So we're all just standing about, talking with each other, slowly starting to form slightly a line. There's probably like 30 or 40 of us standing there. No indication of where, like, we should be. No indication of, like, where we should line up or anything. And so a little bit later, probably like 9 o'clock or so, we're told, oh, hey, anybody that's in this line, you need to go around to the other side because this is not where you're supposed to be. Like, okay. Well, thank you for letting us know. So we go around to the other side, and there's like a half-formed line of like 20 or 30 people over there as well. So we all get in this little line. Now, mind you, you've got the building here, and then the line was like alongside the building here, okay? And it's like you've got the building, and then you've got like a little section that's like a corral kind of section, like gates, with like metal detectors going into the building. And then we were on the outside of that. So on the other side of the gate, just, you know, sitting and chilling and whatnot, which is fine. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's how events are. You stand in line, you wait around, you chill until somebody says otherwise. No problems there. So probably like 20 minutes before we're supposed to start getting our badges set up, they pull out a bunch of like foldable tables and just plop them down in front of like one of the metal detector gate areas, which I'm like, okay, interesting choice, but okay. And you know, we're all just standing around. We're not getting any information, so we're just, again, standing around talking amongst themselves, as one does at an event, because like-minded people tend to talk about their likes. But I digress. So the way that they set it up, definitely, it was a choice. It was a choice. Instead of setting it up, like here is us standing in line, instead of setting it up perpendicular to us so that you had SVIP, VIP, Hitman, and then, you know, A through D tiers or whatever, all in a row, and people could form like 4 separate lines, so it was easy to figure out which line you were going to and get your lanyards and stuff. They had it set up parallel to us. So here we are standing in line. They had the table set up here, so you would have to go this way to get into the line, which I'm like, but why though? It would have been so much easier if you would have just perpendiculared it, and then we could have had multiple spots to stand in, and it would have been so much more orderly and more fashionable, which, again, fine. 9:30 rolls around, and they're like, using their indoor voice, as I call it, using their indoor voice, because they did not speak with their whole chest. We basically had to do the phone exchange line going down the rows. Somebody says something, then you just pass it back and hope that it's the same thing when it gets to the end. But they were like, okay, we're going to start handing out lanyards. Make sure that you have your ID and your ticket scanny thing ready for this. And then, like, this girl who, tiny little thing, is just standing there like, okay, these are the lines, here, 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 and here. And we're like, okay, wait, what? Like, the first 5 people in the row may have seen you, but everybody else back here, yeah, we don't have laser vision. We kind of need more information. Give us a little bit more. You know what I mean? So it was chaotic. They were trying to be like, okay, I need just the SVIPs, the hot top tier SVIP people. I need you right here. I need you here. I need you here. I need you here. And, you know, just repeating that. And it's like, okay. And then, you know, I'm waiting for mine because I had Hitman. I didn't have, like, I didn't spend the big bucks, or, well, I could have, but I didn't have the ability to because the tickets went fast. Anyways, so I had Hitman. So I'm hearing VIP here, VIP here. Okay, like, which VIP? Like, you got VIP, you got SVIP, you got VIP Plus, you got VIP Hitman. Which VIP? Like, it was so chaotic. It was so crazy. But I mean, despite all that, the line did go pretty quickly and people were able to get their stuff. Now I asked, like, okay, I have sound check. Like, we have sound check. How do we get sound check? And they're like, this line over here, this is where you need to get sound check. Okay, cool. We get our sound check, little blue sound checky thing, which, you know, cool, great, wonderful. And then my friend, she was able to score, the pictures, the 2-on-1 pictures with both First and Cal and June and Dunk. So she was able to get pictures with them. I did not try because I'm like, no, thank you. I'm not spending $100 for them to snap a Polaroid of me. With them, that's just, I'm not going to try that. I'm happy to just be there and get my pictures that I got, which were, I'm hoping, fine. We'll get into that later. We'll talk about that. So, we're getting in there. Sorry, that was my dog. Scratching his ear. So we get our badges and whatnot. And the next thing they tell us is like, all right, if you have sound check, we need you to line up over here. And it was like, here's the building. And that little section that was like I said, looked like a corral almost. Like it was like 3 like gate section area with metal detectors and like like stalls. It kind of reminded me of the rides at like, you know, Disneyland, or the rides at like Six Flags or whatever, like how you have those little, you know, weavy stalls that go in. It was like that. And so we're like, okay, cool. You know, it's early. It's like 10 o'clock-ish max. Again, we're all just kind of standing around. We're not really in a specific single file line or anything. We're all just talking with each other. Some people are handing out freebies. Some people are, you know, doing whatever, you know, mingling with other fans of like mind, squeeing over cute pictures, whatever. I was one of the ones that was handing out some freebies for the B.L.F.F group, which, you know, all good and fine. There was no issues there. Nobody got into a hissy fit if like you stepped out of line and then went back into line, or walked down the way to hand out freebies and then came back. And everybody was really sweet, really nice, really cordial to each other. There were no issues with that. But like, we're standing there like, okay, so sound check is at 12:15 p.m. So 12:15 is when sound check was supposed to be. And we're standing out there. It's 10 o'clock. 10:30 goes around. 11 o'clock goes. You know, we're all like, you know, they're going to listen soon because there's like 1,000 people standing here waiting for sound check. We should probably be going in now to be seated at like 11:15, 11:30 hits. And it's like, shouldn't we be going in at this point? Like, it's 11:30. Sound check is 12:15. We should have already been sitting in our seats at this point. So, you know, somebody actually goes and asks, like, not the event people, like, not the volunteers, but like the actual people that work at the United Palace, the employees of the United Palace. And they're like, we have no idea. Like, let me go ask. I don't know. So they had forgotten to tell them that we're supposed to be let in for sound check. So 11:45 hits and we're finally allowed into the foyer. We're allowed into the foyer of the venue. Not into our seats, not into the sound check itself, but like when you walk through the doors, you have this big like lobby and then stairs going upstairs to like the balcony thing. And we were allowed in there. Now, this place was not built to house upwards of 1,000 people in just the lobby. Okay? It was not meant for 1,000 people to be crowded into one specific area. But they had the doors. One, you know, you walk in and there's like 1, 2, and 3 doors all over on this side over here. And then there was like just a bar place over there that I'm guessing, you know, would sell food and snacks and stuff, which is where they were supposed to be selling like food and drinks. But again, I digress. Then they had like a spot over there that had like a little table where you could get like your Heart Killer fan and your like stuff, and then you could sign if you wanted to. They had a white banner that you could sign and such like that. Problem was there were so many people being forcefully pushed into this venue that you couldn't get to those hardly at all. It was chaos. It was mass chaos. But again, we're being very understanding because, you know, it's early in the morning. People are just trying to do their thing. We get it. Maybe there was some miscommunication. Okay, fine. Now, mind you, beforehand, there was a woman out there in the line before we even got in who had a megaphone. And again, she was not talking with her whole chest. She was very quiet. We barely understood anything that she said. And she was there for like 5 minutes. And then we never saw her again. She just, she disappeared off into the void and was never seen again. Some say she's still there to this day. Anyways. So, yeah, she had a megaphone, but, like, it wasn't useful at all. I'm sorry. It wasn't useful. And she was, like, the one that told us to get into 3 lines, which I'm like, okay. We're kind of there, but there was nothing that we could have done. That it was just so many people. And then once we get into the lobby, once we get into the actual lobby area, they literally packed us in like sardines. I was touching elbows with strangers. I got real up close and friendly with some people who I still don't know the name of. I don't know who they are, but your elbow and my elbow became best friends for a little while. So, yeah, I was pressed into the back corner by one of the doors next to the stairs, and that is pretty much where I stood until they let us in. Now, 12:15 came. We're all still standing outside. We're not in there. We're not into sound check. We could hear the sound checky type stuff going on in there. You know, we could hear music. We could hear boomy, loud reverberations. However, we were not in there to partake of the thing. And, you know, I get that, like, miscommunication happens. I get that things happen and everything. But, like, we paid for this. Some of us paid extra because we didn't have the VVIP ticket, which came with soundcheck. We had the Hitman ticket, so we paid the extra money, which I believe was like $50 extra or whatever, to have soundcheck. So we paid extra on top of the ticket we purchased for this perk, for this event. And so because of that, you know, people were a little upset. Now, they were starting to do sound check, and it was like, okay, cool. Like, they were just maybe checking that it plays or whatever. By 11:30, they finally started letting us in. Or at least by 11:30, they were starting to tell us what was going to happen, which the people did not know. Nobody knew what was supposed to be going on or why we weren't in there. But they told us, when you get inside, find a seat. Just pick a seat, any seat. Fight if you got it, I guess. I don't know. So all those people that bought the VVIP, that paid the extra money, whatever, you're all equal in this. This is the Hunger Games, girl. Go get your seat. Figure it out. Whatever. Which, again, made a lot of people very upset because they were told previously that they would get to sit in their assigned seats, and some people had, like, front row seats. But because they told us to sit anywhere that we could find a spot because they were running late, because they were unprepared, the VVIPs that paid for those front row seats ended up being more like 30 rows back or whatever. And so, yeah, that was a lot of issue. It was supposed to be like a 20-minute sound check. It was supposed to be 20 minutes of seeing these beautiful boys all doing their thing and whatnot. We got maybe 10 minutes. We maybe got 10 minutes tops. Which, I mean, we did get a sound check. We did get a sound check. So I guess you get what you get. We paid $50 for them to sing one song and then to speak for maybe 5 to 6 minutes, and then they left, and that was it. And so after that, it's like, okay, well, now that sound check's done, let's you know, figure it out. Let's get in our seats or whatever. Like, we have assigned seats there. It's on our ticket. We know where our seats are supposed to be. Maybe we should find them. Nope. The person who came out on the stage, named Jody, told us to just sit tight, and that they would be doing the high touch, which is just, you know, high-fiving them or handshake or whatever, which is beautiful. Anyways, so yeah, we were just basically told, sit tight, we're going to do the high touch, we'll figure it out, whatever. It was pretty well mass chaos, because once we got the high touch done, that we started with, like, VVIP, then we started, like, VIPs and all that. It basically went in order. But instead of having them, because, like, it's a full theater, so, like, seats in the very back, seats in the very front, instead of having them sit in the back away from everybody once they finished the high touch, they were like, go back to the seat you were originally at when you first came in here and wait. Okay, so that means you're having people who are getting up for the high touch trying to get towards the area for the high touch, plus the people coming from the high touch mingling in like locals, like mingling in like salmon swimming upstream, man, let me tell you. So yeah, that was mass chaos because people were getting confused. I'm not sure if with the miscommunication, maybe people got double high touch. It was crazy. I don't know. All I know is that about halfway through the high touch, they were like, okay, I need everybody to freeze. Freeze. Yeah, it was stupid. And they said that multiple times. And they're like, okay, anybody who has already done the high touch, I need you to stay in the very back. Sit in the very back. And I'm like, why didn't we do this to begin with? Again, organization, not fortes here. So high touch was done. And, you know, it's great, whatever. It was beautiful. We loved high touch. But then the photos were a thing. Like, we needed to do photos, so they started pushing us and, like, shoveling us. And at this point, they're completely, like, they're over time. So they were not only shoving us as fast as they could go through the high touch, like, literally, if I was going any faster, I would have been running on the stage, like, you know, running on the stage. They were hurting us like cattle so fast. I think my high touch was like 10 seconds. It was crazy. So we did the pictures, which was fine, but then poor First got some stomach issues, and we had to deal with that. He had to run off to the bathroom, which is fine, but the problem was, he shouldn't be apologizing for that, because, oh my God, poor baby. I mean, you can't fight against that. You can't predict that. It's what it is. You know, what I'm upset about isn't the fact that he got sick or food poisoning or whatever it is that happened, IBS, bowel movements, whatever. That's something that just happens. It's fine. You know, don't feel sorry for that. We get it. It's that they didn't communicate anything. Now, I have been hard of hearing most of my life, so I have trouble hearing, so I read people's lips. So I knew what was going on because I was reading the lips of the people up on stage as they're running around like freaking crazy people, snakes with their head cuts off, that kind of thing. So I knew what was going on right away because I read their lips, and I was like, oh, poor baby. But nobody else, if you didn't read lips or if you didn't hear it from someone else, like what was going on, it's like we didn't get any information. We got nothing. We got zipply diddly biddly squat. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, fine. He did come and, you know, he did the stuff on there afterwards as best as he could with his stomach, the poor baby. He trudged on, and he did so beautifully. And, you know, thank you for continuing to struggle through it for us. I know you didn't want to let us down as fans, but, like, we get it. We understood. You poor thing. You looked, you were struggle busting, baby. I get it. But a little bit of communication would have been nice. It would have definitely been nice. So the First and Cow 2-on-1 pictures, those didn't happen until after the event because of all that. But we're just sitting there like they pull the drapes down, right? Because they have, like, it's a theater, so they have like these drapes and whatnot. So they pull those down, and we're just sitting there. Like 5 o'clock is when everything was supposed to start. So they're letting the people in that were like A tier and all that. They were letting them in. And that's great. But like 5:30 rolls around, and we're still just waiting. We're still just sitting there waiting, wondering what's going on. Like, hey, can we get a little bit of communication? And the lady that came out on the stage was positively the rudest person that I think I have ever had the displeasure of seeing on stage. She treated us all like we were a kindergarten class going on a field trip. We were told to repeat things back. We were told to shush. We were told to do this or that. And just the way that she came across was extremely rude. And that's not something that you do. That is not something that you do if you are an MC or if you are the stage presence for a thing. You do realize that we are paying people, like we are paying customers. We paid to be here. Some of us paid a lot of money to be here, like hundreds of dollars. Okay, so you treating us like we're a burden and we're not, why are we here? And if we can't behave, that you're going to kick us out. No. Okay, I have been going to these events since probably before that girl was even born. Okay, I have been going to big events with big people and famous people since before she was probably old enough to walk. And you don't do that. You don't talk to people that way. If a problem arises, because during the fan sign, she was like, nobody have their phones out. You can't record this. You can't take pictures. Just put your phones away. Okay, well, of course people aren't going to listen because we paid money to be here. Why would we listen, right? Oh, God. But just the way that she was like, if you don't put your phones away, then we will have you escorted out. And I was just like, excuse you. Rude. But okay. Whatever. And that wasn't the only time that it happened. It was multiple times. Multiple times she would be extremely rude to people, extremely rude to fans, and just the whole ordeal, just her attitude was like, girl, you need to step back and let someone else do this because obviously you're not up for it. Obviously you being on that stage doing what you're doing is an inconvenience, so maybe you shouldn't. Just saying. But it started like 40 minutes late, and the boys were beautiful. They were amazing. Then things started going awry. Besides first, of course, being sick, the mics kept cutting out really bad. Poor Cow. Poor Cow. He was struggling so hard because his mic kept going out. So June would have to like hold his mic to his mouth so that he could talk. And even during the singing, the mics would kind of like fluctuate, and it made the sound very unpredictable, to say the least. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting situation. And so like after the event was over and whatnot, you know, it was time for the pictures. The high touch for A tier, because they got a high touch after the event. Those guys looked rough. They looked so rough. But they were literally like shoving and shuffling people out of the venue. We were in the foyer again, the little lobby area, and they were like, you guys cannot be in this lobby area. You need to exit the building. Exit the building. Nobody listened. Nobody was paying a lick of attention to the person yelling. But I think they had all had their fill of like anything. So I get it, but like, oh, it was a hot mess. It was chaos. It was craziness. It went a lot later than it was supposed to because we didn't get out till like 8. They could definitely have done a lot of stuff differently that would have made things so much easier and so much better, but they didn't. I do hope that in the future they learn from this and they grow from this because, you know, that's how you do better in the future. I know that I heard a lot of rumors and things that I could not confirm online that they were deleting negative comments off of their posts and blocking people, which I did not personally see any of this, so I can only say that that was alleged. However, if that's the case, that's not how you handle situations. So, I mean, unfortunately, a lot could have been fixed by simple communication. A lot could have been fixed simply by having better planning, better organizing, maybe having an event planner that can work with you full-time to plan these events out correctly. And I do hope that if they do more events in the future, that they do learn and that they do better, because that was not it. That was definitely not it. It was a crazy show of just chaos. So Thank you for a good time, First Cow, Jung, and Dunk. Thank you for a wonderful experience, and we hope to see more in the future. That's it for me, guys. Have a good and wonderful day.